Hello everybody, my name is KirkpattieCake. I'm an author and robot, and today I think we're going to be talking about negative reviews, receiving negative feedback on your work, on your published work specifically, because responses in the crafting room are completely different than consumer responses, which is what reviews are. And so I think a little bit of a discussion on that sort of thing might be worth having, just to talk about the different ways to cope with people not liking what you do, because let's face it, everybody has people that don't like their story, don't like their writing, don't like whatever they're trying to do, because you literally cannot please everybody. And this is where a lot of writers get wrong. I've actually talked about a couple on this channel, including the response to the Wraith and the Reckoning a couple of years ago, and then Dylan's, I always forget his last name, but that is also on this channel as Dylan versus the World. I will mention those briefly before we jump into the body of this topic. But if you want the full rundown of what happened in those situations, you can check out my videos here on this channel. I will link them at the end of this video. And yeah, but before we get started, a couple of things. Number one, LBRY for September is up. Check it out in the description below. Check out the prompt. Consider submitting. Consider joining the Patty Wagon and having your stuff read on this channel. Number two, if you are a creative, especially an indie creative, and you would like some more eyes on your projects, check out Pitch Fit down below. That is an event that I do on this channel once every quarter, where you send me the pitches for your work, and then I pitch them to the audience that I have here, hopefully helping unite writers with new readers, hopefully helping unite authors with new readers, and readers with new content, because let's face it, we can't have Marvel for another 20 years. There's other stuff out there, and it's hard to find it in the quagmire. So pitch your stuff here, I'll pitch it for you, and maybe find some new lovers. And then number three, if you're interested in checking out my upcoming novel, Bleed More, Body More, that stuff is all down in the description below. Spoiler alert, hardcover version coming soon. Number four, thank you for accepting me and my green pixels. I really do appreciate it. A number of you guys let me know that my lighting in my temporary abode last week was better than the lighting that I actually try to have, even though that other lighting was super yellow. Thank you. But let me just say, the green pixels keep me company. I'm trying things. I don't know how to deal with the green pixel, though my lighting just isn't that great. And I think the last thing is just, if you like what I do on this channel, like it, share it, subscribe for more, and let me know if there are any topics that you would like me to cover, anything you'd like me to discuss, or book, news, things, topics to be had here, because I love books, I love storytelling, I love talking about all of this stuff, and when stuff is going down, I enjoy having conversations with you guys about it, because storytelling isn't anything without people that want to share storytelling. So that kind of leads us into the discussion of today, which is how to deal with receiving reviews. I guess I should possibly maybe bring up positive reviews and talk about positive reviews as well. Negative reviews is where a lot of authors struggle. Not even negative reviews, I should say just reviews in general, because there was... Okay, with the Wraith and the Reckoning, that author also had received a couple of negative reviews, and she started responding with them by insulting the readers, saying, well, you didn't read the story correctly, well, you didn't finish reading the story, so your opinion doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, if you start attacking readers, especially directly, you're going to have a pushback from other readers, whether they agreed with you or not. So with Dylan, he is the author of The Boy and the Peddler of Death, and when faced with a one-star review that said unnecessarily wordy and pretentious, he went into a full-on meltdown of how bad reviews want to punish him, they are meant to destroy his life, and they were enabling evil and child sex slavery and human trafficking in the world, and that anybody who left a bad review was enabling evil all over the world. It's kind of a crazy story, so if you want to check that out, it's worth checking out. Richard Brittain, when given a one-star review from an 18-year-old reader, tracked her down, traveled 500 miles to the reviewer's place of work, and attacked her with a wine bottle. YA author Kathleen Hale, upon reading a negative review of her book No One Else Can Have You, responded by asking to be paired with the reviewer for a book event, then called the reviewer's place of work, drove to her house, and left a self-help book on the doorstep. Then she wrote an essay about the events which went viral and sparked a lot of controversy, as well as driving the reviewer out of the book blogging community, period. And then more recently, like in the last couple of months to, I think it was last year, I don't remember, there was a lesbian military memoir, I think it was, and she received a 4-star review for this, the author did, and then started attacking the 4-star review, saying, "What, I'm not good enough for you for a 5-star review," and then just started this whole long barrage about how she believed that she should only ever receive 5 stars, and 4 was never good enough, because her writing is just so fantastic, or something like that, I don't know. She just threw a fit about receiving 4-star reviews instead of 5-star reviews, and the judgment just poured on from there. So authors can behave poorly, whether it's a high or a low star review. This has become such a recognizable pattern that even Goodreads has warnings on your author page and on your book pages if you have an author page that says, "Hey, look, you've received a negative review. Now cool it, take a breath, don't just respond to it. You need to take a moment to make sure that you don't overreact and say something bad, because this is a public forum. Try to keep it calm." Now, it's really easy to have a negative response when somebody just doesn't like the thing that you worked on for months or years, or you've put your personal experiences into, but you're never going to be able to please everybody. And generally, I don't know about you, I know that I've got shortcomings, or there might be stylistic choices that you've made that are going to not please some people, and it's reasonable to expect some people to just not like what you've done. That's the first step of dealing with negative reviews appropriately. Even Shakespeare has haters, even all of your favorite authors have haters, and in fact, if you're not sure how to take negative reviews, or if you can take negative reviews, one of my higher up there suggestions is to go to some of your favorite books and look at the 1 and 2-star reviews to just see how other people responded to some of your favorite books, because it gives you some perspective on how people can interpret things completely different than the way you did. It's the same thing as when you go to some of your least favorite books and then you go and look at the positive reviews and you're like, did we even read the same book? But a book review, specifically on stuff like Amazon or Goodreads in general, if it's not people that you know, this is just the personal experience, the adventure, or the feelings that somebody had when they read your book. It is individualistic. It is to how they interacted with your story, and some people might have a negative response to your story. That's just how it is, and as authors, we have to accept that. There's no controlling how people respond to our stories. I'm sorry, there's not. Now, there are a couple of different things that you should not do when you receive a negative review. I've already kind of mentioned one of them, which is do not get into a fight with people on Goodreads about them having a negative review to you. Don't respond to them. Goodreads warns you not to respond to people if you are the author, because it's really just not a good practice. It's not a typical practice to respond to people on Goodreads. The other thing is, don't blast them on your social media, because especially if you are a bigger author, this can look like you're trying to dogpile on somebody, especially if you have a really, really big following. Another thing that you probably want to avoid, it's one thing to have readers all interacting with each other and agreeing or disagreeing or having conversations on your pages or on public forums like Twitter or something, but it's another thing to have maybe your friends go in there and start defending your book or insulting people, because let me tell you, readers are not stupid. Readers will see that your friends are talking to other book reviewers or book readers meanly, and they're going to connect the dots from that person to you. It makes me think of, so when I was an undergraduate and I was taking a creative writing class, we were not allowed to speak while we were being critiqued. It was everybody could have a discussion, and the author just had to sit in the cone of silence and listen to everybody talk. And then at the end, you could say your piece if you had something else that you wanted to say. There were these 2 girls that were very obviously best friends, longtime best friends. And when one of them was in the cone of silence, the other one would be defending her work or countering any critique that she would receive in the critique group. Now, we're all in a critique group to get better, and some critiques, yes, are not going to be necessary, others are. But also, it's bad form to have somebody else arguing against your critiques because you can't speak, but they're your friends, so they're going to speak on your behalf. It's the same thing if you receive a negative review on your book and then your friend goes in to start fighting with reviewers. people are going to see that and then know it's your friend. I'm sorry. It's just not a good look. You don't attack book reviewers for the experience they had with your book. Some people will like your book. The next thing that you got to get stuck in your head is that book reviews aren't personal. They're just book reviews. Even when they're personal, they're just book reviews. I remember also in a different undergraduate creative writing class, this was supposed to be advanced creative writing for like those that really, really wanted to be working on this stuff. And in this critique group, the only response that I got from this dude was like, I hate this. Why would you write this? That's not a critique. Technically, that is kind of personal, but at the same time, it's a book review. It's not really that personal. He can like what he likes, and if what I'm writing isn't to his cup of tea, that's fine too. You need to detach yourself from the personalness of your story and the responses people have to your story. That's part of being a professional. And you'll see so many authors fail at this, which is why there are so many videos all the time of just people talking about how to respond to book reviews. I love the idea of having deeper conversations or answering harder questions than what is your main character's favorite color when it comes to talking to people about their books. I want to ask these deeper questions that if you're very close to your work, you really can't ask somebody these questions because it's going to come off as insulting. Now, this is something that I think a lot of creatives overlook when it comes to putting their book on the market, especially indies, is that when you put your book on the market, when you're charging people for money, for it, it is now a consumer product, and you're going to have consumer responses. You might change the content of the story after you get a number of negative or critical responses, but then you still kind of have those on your that black spot on that record, even when it's no longer accurate. I went through that with the launch of Dead End Drive. I learned a lot of stuff by launching Dead End Drive and in the way that I launched Dead End Drive. And since Dead End Drive went live. But, you know, you live some, you learn some, you make some mistakes, and you try to do the best that you can after that. I didn't really organize my thoughts on this very well because I just wanted to cover kind of some basics when it comes to receiving reviews. So, number one, once you launch your book and it is now out there on the marketplace, it is a consumer product like cheese and milk, and you will have responses to it. Some people don't like certain shampoos. Some people don't like certain restaurants. If you have not liked a movie and have said that you don't like a movie, then that's kind of what happens when people don't like your book. Kind of expect some people to just not like your book and learn to recognize who is your audience and who is not your audience, and do those negative reviews matter? Not really if it's not part of your audience. I read books all the time that I am outside of the audience for, and so clearly the authors may not care what my opinions are. The worst thing that you can do is start insulting bad reviews or even negative reviews or even slightly questionable reviews like 4 stars. You don't know where that person came from. You don't know where they borrowed the book from. And really, don't trash talk readers on social media. That's just not a good look. If your negative opinions of readers is really how you feel, then I guess it's probably better that you just put them all over social media so that readers can know how you feel about them. But I don't like it. I think it's smarmy. It's gross. It's negative. It's mean. There's no reason to really be dicks to each other because you don't share the same interest in reading, but I'm kind of a hermit and I don't really know how normal it is to have these reader book clubs that hate each other. Is that a normal thing? Let me know in the comments down below if you are part of a genre hater group. That happens. Probably don't do that as a writer though. Reviews take time and effort out of the reader's day because they're responding to your work, and it's really just good practice to be grateful for whatever it is you get behind, whatever it is you get back, because that person read your book, whether they liked it or not. They gave you a chance, especially if you're an indie, and it's just nice to say, hey, you know, thank you. Not literally, because you really shouldn't bother people on Goodreads as an author, but I am still learning where the line is, and I get I'm still learning where the line is on Instagram because I just want to share when people are like, hey, I read your book, and I go, oh, cool, thank you. Whether it's positive or negative, I appreciate you giving me the chance. Point being, for all of this video, expect not everybody to love your book. There is no way you're going to get 100% approval by everybody that reads your book, unless it's only your friends and your family that are reading it and they don't want to piss you off. Another thing that can really help authors coming out and putting their stuff on the marketplace for the first time and dealing with negative reviews is to put them in critique groups, because I get the feeling, and people can let me know if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that a lot of indie authors specifically skip critique groups or having a crit partner, skipping sort of situations, constant situations where there might be a critical voice on their work because they can't necessarily deal with the critical response, and then the first time they deal with the critical response is in the marketplace, and they don't know how to deal with it. If you go through the process, receiving critical responses is difficult, it is hard, and it can feel very personal because of that personal investment in the story. But if you go through it with the critical partner, it'll be much easier to take in the marketplace. And let me tell you, a critical partner, a critical reader, is going to be much nicer to you than the meanest reader. Readers have zero investment in you, and I have seen some very prolific book reviews that were not charitable at all. They are funny, as long as my book is not in the what's the word that I want? The crosshairs. As long as my book is not in the crosshairs, book reviewers can be merciless, man. So, I don't know. When you receive a negative review, take a step back, take a breath. Just know that you're never going to be able to please everybody. It's not your job to please everybody, and it's also not your job to police people's responses to your work. It sucks that you can't be perfect. It's an impossible standard to live up to. And really, your responses to reviews are only going to matter when you don't have that many reviews, and then as you start getting a bunch more, they're gonna become less effective on you emotionally because you just keep getting smacked with them. At this point, whenever I've only got 2 books up on NetGalley at this point, and launching the second one, I'm like, my hashtag for this is "Hurt Me More, Daddy." Okay, I'm just ready to be in pain from expecting the worst, and hopefully actually entertaining people. I really hope that the readers for Bleed More, Body More enjoy it as it comes out this fall. I hope that people that find Dead End Drive eventually, again, will enjoy the comedy and the over-the-topness and maybe see the other elements in that story that I absolutely adore about it. You just gotta take those, thank you for telling me about, thank you for telling me about the kinds of stuff that sticks out to you when you're reading. Or if you just got kind of sick of it. Either way, I always appreciate just any time, effort, energy given to me through reading one scene or one chapter or the whole book. Even if you disliked it, appreciate it. Always be grateful for the time that people grant you, of their for the attention people grant you and their time. I don't know. Being grateful, being positive is the best way to get through any negative review, and don't let it hit you personally, even when it's personal. It's not personal. It's a book review. So, I don't know. This video is kind of scattered. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. What do you do to navigate the negative responses or the critical responses? If you're working on something in workshop and you've received critical feedback, how did you navigate that? And if you are a reader, what do you look for in book reviews? Let me tell you, I have never purchased a book because of a 5-star or a 4-star review, but I have purchased a book because of a 1-star review, because I wanted to see what those negative qualities were. See, as a reader, what do you look for in the book reviews or in the comments or in the ratings? And what affects whether you're going to purchase a book or not even purchase, but pick it up maybe at a library or look for it. Let me know all of that and more down in the comments below. And I think that's it. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you tomorrow at Loinstream for the continuation of Empress Teresa. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and don't die.
The only people who should come are those who want to meet their monsters.
If this is what Agatha wants, I don't know how we can even dispute it.
I change lives, baby.
And I end them. Sweetheart, no bargains hold. Only fools know restraint.
Only losers lose!
I've been under the knife so many times, I'm practically immune to it.
If your scissors are dull, may I recommend sharpening them with leather?
I think I hit you.
Mima says I must have a guardian angel.
To enter the ring but abstain from playing is suicidal. Your virtue makes you nothing but a liability.
You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die.